my loves. Welcome in to this reading for the full moon in Gemini. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to be diving into the astrological cycle of the full moon, how it relates to your own astrology, and then we're going to be tapping into our own intuitive guidance, our support team, by utilizing the spiritual tools of the cards to get us advice based on the current astrology and our own astrology. For those who are new, hello and welcome in. It is lovely to have you here. Welcome into this beautiful family, this beautiful process. I'm excited to have you be a part of it. I have a tutorial video that helps you to get the most out of these readings. It gives you a little bit more information about what we're doing here and really how to process through these readings and get the most out of them. It's not necessary for you to watch them, but it is an option should you feel called to utilize it. For those who are not new, hello and welcome back in. Thank you so much for being here. This is a way that my heart loves to connect with you guys. This is like me showing up on a one-on-one basis, even though it's electronic and even though there's a time difference between us. I feel connected to you guys through this guidance, through this advice that I share, and it's just really amazing to be able to offer you this support in this way that I do, and I appreciate you so much for being here. There are many ways that you can support me should you feel called to do that. I am offering these readings for free, so any support that you can give me is welcome. There's free ways to support me and there's financial ways. You can just comment on these. You can share them with other people. You can donate if you want to at paypal.me/devotedvulnerable. Link is in the description. Or you can sign up for your own personal chart reading or card reading at devotedandvulnerable.com/services. Link is also in the description. Before we get started and talking about the full moon energy and Gemini energy and what this reading is going to be about, I want to remind you that at any point you can utilize the navigation bar to scroll through information that you're already familiar with. I take time to do timestamps on all of these videos so that you can navigate them based on your own level of understanding that you already have. If you're new, you're probably going to want to sit through and watch it all. But if you're not new, if you're familiar with the energies, the archetypes that I'm going to be talking about, you can feel free to scroll ahead to the readings and get right to the meat of the material. So we're going to be talking about full moon energy right now. Full moon energy is when the moon is full in the sky. It's always in the sign opposite of where the sun is. So we have a full moon in Gemini right now. The full moon will happen on December 7th. It'll happen at 23:07 Eastern Time. And it's happening in 16 degrees 2 minutes of Gemini. So the advice that we're going to be talking about for this full moon will last from this full moon until the next full moon, which will be from December 7th until January 6th. Full moons are always a time of celebration. It's celebrating a theme. It's like the full focal point and spotlight on something, and it's always a celebration underneath the sign that it is occurring in. So now let's talk about what Gemini energy is. Gemini is an air sign. So air signs rule and represent the mental and intellectual realm. So thoughts and beliefs and the mental processes of our beings are all contained within the realm of air. Now, Gemini is a mutable sign. Mutable signs are signs that happen during the change of a season. So they are the energy of change, the energy of adaptation, the energy of being not one thing, but also not another. Gemini occurs during the time when we transition from spring into summer. So this is the energy that we are in. We're celebrating a fullness of this Gemini energy, a fullness of this changing intellect that we have. Gemini is represented by the symbol of the twins. So the twins are this energy, like I said, of the mutable energy, of something being the same but different, which twins represent. It's also the energy of the mirror. What we see in the mirror reflected back to us gives us information about ourselves. So this is the intellectual quality of Gemini. Geminis are witty, they're clever, they're intelligent, adaptable, and they're energetic. This is a sign that's constantly having ideas. And as we celebrate this full moon, celebrate the energy of Gemini, we're going to be going to the cards to celebrate what our intellect has achieved this year. So that is going to be the focus of the card readings. We're going to be going to the Super Attractor deck by Gabrielle Bernstein, which is going to offer us an affirmation to help us support this and celebrate this amazing intellectual ability that we have. We all have different ways of expressing our intellect, and the Gemini moon really wanted us to focus on celebrating our minds, celebrating the intellectual realm, and really making it personal to us. So how you personalize this information is you watch the reading that is aligned for where 16 degrees, 2 minutes of Gemini shows up in your chart. Which house? Now, if you don't know how to find that information, that's absolutely fine. Just take the time to watch this tutorial video that's popping up right now. It is going to take you through how to enter in your birth data into a chart generator, and then how to read the chart enough to know where Gemini 16 degrees 2 minutes occurs in your chart, which house it occurs in. Now you can use any house system that you want to. I explained a little bit in the tutorial video. I use the whole house system, but there's also the default system, which is known as the Placidus system, and the equal house system, which starts the first house at the ascending point. Now, again, you don't have to know any of that. You just go with whatever you're called to. Your guides, your support team know which house system you're going to choose, and they're going to show up for you in whichever reading aligns with that house, okay? If you have questions after watching that video about which reading is the right video for you, please contact me and let me know. And let's dive into what information is coming through for us to celebrate about our intellect this lunar phase. This video is for you if 16 degrees, 2 minutes of Gemini shows up in your third house. If you're already familiar with the third house energy, you can scroll ahead to the card reading. So the house system in our astrological story represents where something happens. Each house is ruled by one of the 12 zodiac signs. The third house is ruled by the third zodiac sign, which is the sign of Gemini. So this full moon in Gemini is happening in your third house, which is ruled by Gemini. So this is a very amazing, supportive alignment for you. The third house represents the house of communication. So this is where in our life we'll see impacted by this house. In your realm, location of communication, which can rule early education, it can rule technology, learning, language, and transportation. These are all themes of the Gemini energy, also themes of Mercury, which is the planet that rules the third house. So when we're talking about celebrating our intelligence here, we're talking about celebrating our intelligence in the realm of how we communicate, how we learn, how we educate, and how we gain experiences through traveling and through learning different languages. So let's see what the Super Attractor affirmation deck has to bring forward for you to really celebrate your intellect when it comes to this realm of communication. So if you haven't already called in your spiritual support team, taken a few deep breaths, and opened your heart to receive the guidance that's most aligned for you at this time, please do that. Remember, you can pause the video to take more time to do that if you need to. All right, third housers, let's see. What is here for you? All right, two cards flipped out. I'm just going to check and see if it's both or one. Okay, it just wants me to use the card that is being shown. So that's the card that you get. When I'm tuned into the energy of abundance, I become abundant. Wow. Okay. So we're celebrating your intellect this lunar phase with this full moon celebration of Gemini. And we're celebrating it in the realm of your life that deals with communication because the third house is where this full moon is happening for you. So this card is communicating that when you are communicating to the universe an energy of abundance, that is what is communicated back to you. We live in a system of feedback. What we give out comes back to us, usually multiplied. So when we're talking about what we're communicating to the universe, we want to make sure that we are communicating what we want, not what we don't want, to the universe. And because this is a full moon celebration energy, this isn't something that's going to be new to you. This is a celebration of something that you're already aware of, that you've already been practicing, that you've already seen the benefits of. And you're just being reminded here by your support team that when you tune into the energy of abundance, you become abundant. So it's about becoming in the way that you speak to others, in the way that you're thinking, in the way that you're talking to the universe, talking to yourself, in the things that you're learning about, in the way that you travel, like even in the way that you walk. There is a way that somebody who's abundant walks that's different than the way that somebody who is in lack will walk. So it's about becoming this abundance and communicating to the world this abundant energy that you have. So I'm being called to share an example of when I lived in Harlem in New York City. And I had another roommate who struggled with being kind of the odd person out in that neighborhood. And she would wear her headphones and she would walk with her head down and she'd walk really fast and kind of avoid contact. But she always got this energy directed towards her that was she considered negative. I made sure to walk with my head up and to walk in Harlem like, hey, I'm just a human who pays to live in this crazy place at this crazy time, just like all of you. And I felt that I had every right claim to be living in that place as everyone else who was there, even though I was a little bit different than the other people that I saw who were living there. It didn't mean that my right to be there was any less. And I walked with that knowing. I walked down the street like, hey, you guys are my family. This is my neighborhood. And this is where I belong because this is where I am. And I didn't attract the same kind of negative attention that my roommate did. And it was because of the way she walked. It was because of this energy of not feeling like she belonged and being afraid that it would be pointed out that she was different and that she would be preyed upon um, for these differences. And so this is the energy that we're talking about here, becoming. I became a neighbor just by the way that I walked. I became somebody who belonged just by the way that I presented myself on the street. And it was reflected in the world around me. So this is the kind of communication that we're talking about here. We are so very intelligent as a species. And we are so capable with our minds to be able to create. We're so clever. We're so witty. We're so adaptable with all of these phases, all of these qualities of the Gemini archetype and energy are within us. So the focus of your intelligence this lunar phase, your sport team wants you to know that your focus is on tuning into the energy of abundance. There's so many ways that you can do this. Just by giving thanks for the things that you have in abundance. I used to live in a place of lack. And then I started abundance practices and I started seeing all of the abundance all around me and how blind I had been to all of the amazing things that I have access to. I have an abundance of food, I have abundance of friends, I have an abundance of air molecules to breathe, I have an abundance of trees in my neighborhood. There's an abundance of leaves on the ground helping to fertilize the soil. There's an abundance of birds, there's an abundance of animals, there's an abundance of choices in entertainment, in music, in stories. There's so much abundance. You can look for in the smallest places or in the largest places. So when you're tuned into your own abundance, you become that abundance. So this is what you're being invited to celebrate. This beautiful intelligence of you is being invited to celebrate your own mind and your own mind's ability to create, to focus on abundance and therefore create it. All right, my beautiful third house full moon in Geminis. Let me know how this is resonating. Let me know if you have questions. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste.